Deconverted Man here. So the eyes experiment is done, or as done as I think that I will do it, because there's a lot of things that could have been better about it. So here's the eyes, as you'll all recall, and based on how it was set up and the criteria that I proposed, here's the number raw data results. 15 entries, and out of that, 67% got better than chance. So this seems like that this is conclusive, right? And people can identify when somebody is evil and when somebody's good. Well, a lot of you gave feedback to the test itself, and I didn't really realize just how hard it is to make a good scientific test until I got this feedback, and perhaps the way to learn is to do. So the test itself might be flawed. One criticism was that all the eyes are shown at the same time, so there might be some bias there. Another was that a lot of these people are famous people, and so you can identify them, and if you did identify them, then you couldn't take the test. Another problem was that somebody outsmarted the entire test itself, saying, well, I'm guessing that you picked half good and half evil, so I'm just going to say that half are evil, therefore I'm going to get half of it right. But half isn't better than chance, so, and you thankfully admitted to cheating, so you're out of the running, and we didn't include your percentages in the final tally. Also, I noticed a particular sort of overthinking when I did this test, which was, well, I just labeled this particular person bad. Now I wanted to label the next one good because the last one was dark, and so if I say the next one's evil and they're dark, then I'm racist, and I don't want to be racist. That got me to thinking about the question itself, evil and good. Well, what if somebody doesn't want to call someone evil? Well, then they would do really badly at this test, so the wording matters too. And you can tell if somebody is smiling or not, which is probably true. So you might label somebody that's smiling as good and somebody that's not smiling as evil. And that's a problem. Oh, man. So what if we showed you one slide at a time and asked you whether you liked them or didn't like them, or trusted them or didn't trust them, trying to avoid that evil or good. But is that word choice a good word choice, or could that cause problems? So you really have to think about what it is that you're going to ask before you even begin the test, because the question might change the result. So I wanted to find out if people could identify people that had done heinous things, mostly serial killers or other evil people. One of the eyes in the picture is Hitler, and another one is Donald Trump, which people have been comparing those two lately, so I thought it would be good to mention that. And now that I've said that, you'll probably be able to go and find at least Trump, if not Hitler, out of those eyes, because he just has really identifiable eyes. And so we need to find common people, people that aren't famous. And we need to mix it up, and maybe one slide at a time might be the way to go, but then you need a delay between each, because you need some sort of palate cleanser between them. Because if I showed you bad, 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 and then one good, is that gonna change the result? Also, I need to do a test where all of them are good or all of them are bad, so that I can see, well, it really is a statistical difference. But I can't tell the people that are taking the test whether or not it's going to be half and half, or all good or all bad. Of course not. They can't know, and neither can I, because if I'm presenting the test and I know, then the way that I say, here's the test, prepared to take it might be influenced by my knowledge of the people I'm about to hand you are all serial killers or all just normal people. But then, wait a minute, I gotta find people that are normal. Where do they exist? I mean, how do I know that the pictures I'm finding online are not of serial killers? Ah! One person asked why all males instead of a mix. Well, I think it is important to control for gender that you'd have all males and then all females. I don't know that mixing them up would make a difference, but maybe it would. Maybe people are less likely to see a female eye as evil. So, the test as it currently stands didn't do much of anything, right? It was a failed test. Well, even a failed test provides data. Because before I did it, I had no idea what was going to be the result. I just had this idea of, hey, I think that people can tell if somebody is evil by their eyes. After this, I thought, oh, it seems to be true, but wait a minute, the test was flawed. I didn't realize that going in. Now I do. Is this data completely useless? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it told me something. It told me that people are generally better at identifying something about a person's eyes that tends to be that that person is not to be trusted or has done something bad, but not always. So the data the data probably doesn't matter. So the test has to be redone, and it has to be done in a way without all these flaws, and that's hard. I mean, it's hard to think of it. How can I get rid of the tells? How can I make sure that this test gets a actual result without biasing the test subjects to giving me answers that I want? And so this is really important to think about when we consider testing done by scientists and how rigorous they have to make these tests, because you really have to get rid of all the human failings that go into this sort of thing. The test giver has to be pretty much unaware of what it is they're testing to some extent, like a double blind test. The test participants can't really know what it is you're looking for, otherwise they might tailor their answers to fit even though they don't know that they're doing that. So the feedback I got was really great in letting me think about and learn more about how just difficult it is to create a good scientific test, and how difficult it is to put a test online on top of everything else. I mean, it's one thing if you went into a room to take this sort of test, but it's a whole different thing to have it be on the internet. So, for example, online, if I say you have 2 to 3 seconds to answer good or evil, well, I have to trust that you're only going to take that amount of time, or I have to build some sort of website to count out 3 seconds before going to the next slide, so that if you didn't click soon enough, it's already gone. The opportunity's missed, and it's a whole other set of eyes that you're looking at. In real life, those things are easier to control for than they are online. And you're also adding a complexity on the internet that you might not have in real life, because you're now being asked to move your mouse and click on something or push a button, whereas in real life, you could just say good or bad, and the person could just check one or the other. And they wouldn't even be in the same room as you are. Also, what about the mood that the person's in? Could that be an influence? If they're in a good mood when they do it, are they going to give more positive results than negative results? So, That's why repeated testing is necessary and needed. Because it's not just enough to do it one time. We have to do it several times with the same person doing the same test, just with different eyes, to get a decent reading. And even then, there might be flaws inherent in the test that could screw everything up. Can the hypothesis be falsified? I think so. If there's a less than chance percentage that people are getting it right, then the idea is flawed. But the test has to be set up correctly before I can really say, hey, this is a thing. Right now I could say, hey, it looked like it was a thing, but it wasn't. It's because I screwed it up. But there's numbers that don't mean anything. Meaningless statistics comes to mind as the logical fallacy. So, maybe you've learned from this as much as I have. I certainly have learned a whole lot about how difficult it is to set up tests, and I hope that you too have learned something about how difficult it is to set up tests. And maybe with your help and feedback, we can together create an even better test than what was done here. Because another part of science is collaboration. By the way, on the other video, it is now approved for comments. All the comments are open, but you see the percentages on the screen, so you know how well you did. Even though the test was flawed, you can still feel like something positive about that. Although it doesn't really mean anything. Thanks for listening. We'll do this again. Just have to think about it and come up with a better way to test this hypothesis.